Lizzie handed Turner a knife. You know how to open clams? I will in a minute or two. You think you'll just figure it out all on your own? No, I think you'll just tell me. You think so? Of course I think so. You never can keep from telling me something you know that I don't. Then I must be telling you a whole lot all the time because there's a whole lot I know that you don't. Lizzie told him a whole lot, even after Turner got the knack of it and could open the shell with the point of the knife, slit the muscle before the clam objected too much, and drop it into the pot along with its juice. It was enough, Lizzie's granddaddy said, to make even a man sick in bed look up and take notice, seeing those clams slip out of their shells. But Turner saw that Reverend Griffin couldn't do much more than look up and take notice, and that once the chowder was set to cooking, he lay back down on the bed, exhausted from having propped himself up. He coughed once or twice, weakly, as if he didn't have the heart for it, and then lay too still. Lizzie and Turner sat by the shore while the chowder hottened up. They didn't talk much. They didn't have to. The New Meadows was quiet, with the tide slow and careful not to scrape itself along the shore rocks. The gulls rode its back as if for a joke, calling now and again to each other, but mostly just riding the waves up and down, then up and down again. They must have been doing this for more years than anyone could count, thought Turner. And for a moment he saw Darwin standing on the bridge of the Beagle and watching the seabirds of the Galapagos, and maybe thinking the same thing. How do you think the gulls learn to swim like that? He asked Lizzie. His mama and papa showed him. How else? How did they learn? Because they had mamas and papas too, Turner. You know about this stuff, right? But what about the first one? The very first one? What made him start to swim? God took him in his two hands and threw him out there and got him all wet and told him he should stay put. And gulls are still squawking about it. You read that in the Bible? Somewhere in Genesis, toward the middle. Well, said Turner, standing up, I guess God doesn't mind if he gets squawked at sometimes. I hope not, since I've had reason enough myself lately. She stood too, and together they watched the gulls riding the waves. Then they went into the shack, and Turner helped Reverend Griffin sit up in bed, and Lizzie brought over a bowl of clam chowder and fed him. All the time she was smiling, telling them how it was just like Lizzie's grandmama used to make it for him. All the time, Turner held him up and wondered at how light he was, so light it hardly seemed his body could heft his soul. Whatever would happen if he really did leave Malaga? And whatever would happen to Lizzie if he couldn't? Lizzie rode Turner back across the New Meadows after her granddaddy finished the chowder. He jumped out and held the dory for a moment, then let it go, and the tide took her out a bit. She turned the boat with one oar, and with the smooth movements of one who knew how, she began to row slowly back to the island. Turner watched her across the shore, watched her pull the dory up and give a wave. And then she spread her arms out, smiled broadly, and began to fly across the beach, bobbing and weaving until she turned the corner of Malaga and was gone. Turner climbed the granite ledges back towards home.